Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you to everybody joining us over at woodwardsports.com for all the latest news surrounding your favorite sports teams. Visit woodwardsports.com for news, articles, opinions, and more.
And some beautiful merchandise, by the way. Very, very nice.
Well played, Jeff. Well played.
I just got my quarter zip the other day.
Yeah? How was your Monday night?
It was good. Recorded some From Half Court, watched the Pistons. It was weird. First quarter, didn't look good, but they fought. Even on the road, I was impressed. And then the Red Wings obviously had them both up on two different screens. But hey, it was just nice. Red Wings and Pistons are really the two highlights right now for me.
So here's where I'm at. I'm not a fan of politics on a sports show. And I'm going to do my best to continue to avoid it because I don't think it has a place in sports talk. But top of the hour, I want to be as honest as I can about you, with you, about a certain coaching situation and how it reflects on the league and how it really comes across to minority coaches. I'd like to do that at 9 o'clock. 8:15 we'll get John Maakaron on the morning show from SI. Great writer. Does a great job covering the team. We'll discuss the Pleasant firing and the state of the Lions. 8:30 we'll get more Aubrey Pleasant in, of course. 8:45 Cade Cunningham. My goodness. Sophomore slump? My ass. 22-6-7. We're really 23-6-7. So how about you take that? So we'll get to Cade later on in the show. Anthony Broome, second hour. Talk about Michigan State, that whole tunnel situation. The trade deadline at 9:30. What should the Detroit Lions do and who should they trade? A lot of good stuff coming up. I'm seeing the Rip take off. That's brutal.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are passing away this year. And
he was cold, too. That was the thing is... I don't think people really appreciate Migos enough.
Yeah, 28 years old,
crew,
too.
He was...
Yeah.
He was great, man. He was great. But let's get into not-so-great news as well. Aubrey Pleasant, the defensive backs coach, fired yesterday by the Detroit Lions. And I did not actually expect it.
Me either.
And typically when teams unexpectedly do something that may or may not be beneficial, my ears perk up. Oh, wow, okay. You have my attention. You fired Aubrey Pleasant. What does that mean?
And what does that fix?
Nothing. And Dan Campbell spoke this morning. He spoke yesterday. And he said how much respect he has for AP as a coach. He's a hell of a coach. All these comments and positive things that he had to say about Aubrey Pleasant. But he let him go, which counterintuitive. But it's a production-based business, to quote Dan Campbell, right?
Oh, yeah, it is.
We live in a production-based business, and when you're a 1-6 football team, and you've now started last year 0-7, this year 1-6, somebody needs to get let go. Last year, Anthony Lynn was the scapegoat. Not that he was so much a scapegoat because the offense did get better, but he was the first one of, hey, do not question me. I know what I'm doing. Okay, very good leadership move. Well done, well identified. How many people actually believed Aubrey Pleasant was responsible for their issues in the secondary? And again, it could be a different message. The message isn't being communicated from the top down. At the end of the day, that's on the coach, the head coach. If I'm a head coach, Jeff, and let's say you're my quarterback's coach,
right,
and I tell you, under no circumstances this week are we going to audible out of our plays, and my quarterback goes out there and audibles out of the play 7 times,
got to start looking at me.
I'm I'm going to want to rip your head off. But that's my fault for clearly not doing enough to get you to listen and follow through with what I asked you to do. Fair?
Fair.
Cool. Aubrey Pleasant is a apparently young, up-and-coming coach, respected league-wide.
Interviewed for the Vikings defensive coordinator job this offseason.
Very, very, very interesting move. And I don't know what it fixes. I don't think if AP was the source of the problem, but then again, somebody had to go, right? This was an ownership group that came out middle of the week and said, we're not happy, we're frustrated, but we believe in our team. Less than 5 days later, suddenly one of your team members has been let go and released. And that's the business, by the way. Tough luck. And maybe Aubrey Pleasant bounces back and continues his career, sure. But very, very interesting news coming out of Allen Park yesterday. I was really shocked. And at the end of the day, I don't know where Dan Campbell is going. Again, I like to believe in a coach. I like to give them the benefit of the doubt at times. I like to try and project their vision. That way I can understand it. And I'm not sure what the vision is, because it's the same message after every game. Win or lose. He doesn't change. Got to get better. Got to do this. Well, they don't win much, so you really can't even say that. They're 1-6 on the season. Talking about, we built it a certain way. We built this team a certain way to handle adversity. And that 6, 7, 8 games into the year, if we were 1-6, 1-7, paraphrasing here, that they would still listen to the message, and that our message isn't being diluted. Your head coach's words, not mine. I am struggling this morning, not because, Aubrey Pleasant, I loved him. Oh, no. It's business, man. I get it. But was that the move? I don't know. I really don't. I'm not in the building every day. I'm not on the practice field every day. All I know is somebody's head rolled for the first time mid-season under this regime. And when I look around the league and look at Kyle Shanahan's team, or Sean McVay's. Just go to some of the younger successful coaches that have been around for a few years. Hell, even Andy Reid. These coaches, go look around Sean McDermott. They're coordinators. They're specialty coaches, defensive back coaches, quarterback coaches. They aren't being fired mid-season when the team is struggling. I haven't seen Sean McVay let go of anybody for their 3-5 start. Matt LaFleur came out yesterday and defended his defensive coordinator. To let go of Aubrey Pleasant is a sign of desperation for me. What do you think, Jeff?
No, I think you're spot on. My thing with Aubrey Pleasant, and I think you already hit on it too, I'm not in the building. I don't know the impact, because I don't know who it was that asked the question at the press conference, but I love this question they asked. Because Dan talked a lot about the game plan not being on par a Sunday against the Miami Dolphins. And obviously they gave up, 7 third and longs. The secondary absolutely got cooked. And it's not like they have the greatest personnel. But whoever was at the press conference asked, couldn't you make these adjustments in-game rather than waiting till after the game and then complaining that didn't happen? And Dan actually choked up. Like, he didn't know what to say. And it was the first time I've actually ever seen Dan Campbell. He sat there for a second. He was like, we did.
Game adjustments? What? Huh? What does that mean?
And he was like, we did. And they're like, well, what happened? Like, did you end up talking to Aubrey Pleasant? He's like, message didn't get delivered. I'm like, okay. Excuses. So I guess Aubrey Pleasant, it sounds like to me, Aubrey Pleasant is the sacrificial lamb. This is a guy that I thought and assumed that if Aaron Glenn was fired, Aubrey Pleasant would take over that defensive coordinator job. But again, it's sad. I mean, the Lions right now, they rank dead last in yards allowed per game at 421. They stand 27th in the NFL against the pass, giving up over 265. But again, if you're going to talk about Aubrey Pleasant and how bad the secondary is, you can at least give him credit for how Jeff Okuda's played, Jerry Jacob played last year, A.J. Parker, Amani Warrior had a career year last year. So I think it's confusing to me, and I think you hit on it, Adam. To me, this sounds like we got to make a move, so this is the move.
For the sake of making a move.
For the sake of making a move. Now, would this improve the secondary? No, I don't think so. I think personnel-wise, you still have the same secondary you walked into last game with. So it doesn't change anything for me. It's just sad that Aubrey Pleasant, someone who, is respected, he's going to get a job very soon, by the way, and he's still going to be coaching for a long time, that he's no longer with the Lions. And again, this feels like a move that Dan Campbell felt like, hey, let's appease the fans. Let's fire somebody. Somebody has to fall on the sword. Somebody has to fall on the sword, and that's Aubrey Pleasant.
Well, what does that do for you?
Nothing.
All right. Same. I
Absolutely nothing.
Again, to praise a secondary coach, and I'm trying to be as respectful as I can a little bit, because it's never fun seeing somebody lose their job.
But one thing he did talk about, and I can at least understand, is the one theme every week we've heard, and I don't know if it's Aubrey Pleasant, I don't know if it's Aaron Glenn, it seems like it was Aubrey Pleasant, that they were never on the same page, that secondary. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say it was a terrible decision to fire him. I don't know the specifics of it, but it is confusing. And Amani Warrior, he's not having a great season. He's actually having a terrible season. So a lot can be attributed to that, but it's sad. It really is. I mean, I liked Aubrey a lot, but move's got to be made. I was expecting it to be Aaron Glenn, but Aubrey Pleasant falls on the sword.
I try to be fair.
Right.
We talk about Jeff Okudah, his bounce back. Jeff Okudah has shown that he is a very good run defender. Very good. I will go out and say that much. He's very good in terms of run support. He has a 60.9 pass coverage rating, and it's number 88 in the NFL. 88th in the NFL in pass coverage.
Mm-hmm.
The bounce, respectfully, he's doing some things nice. Yes, hell, some things very good. I'm paying $10 million for a corner to basically play safety in the box and get 10 tackles a game? I'm sorry.
Right, that's not, yeah. No, I'm with you.
Having said that, John Maakaron coming up in a little bit. Can't wait to talk to him about the firing, state of the Lions, tension in the locker room maybe. How's the message being portrayed to the players? We have a lot to discuss with John in just a bit, but before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at the Sports Marketing Agency.
Well, the Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com for more information.
My name is Lee. I've lost 35 pounds on the Custom Health Center program. So the three biggest benefits that I've gotten from this program has been I'm not snoring anymore, I have a lot of energy, it's great, and oh, by the way, look at this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy, better sleep, blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Jeff Iafrate here. Let me tell you about our friends at the Foaling Warehouse in Hamtramck, because it is the home of the original football bowling game. 2 to play for $12, unlimited open play, or you can pay $120 for a lane reservation for up to 10 people. $2 mystery beer machine, full bar. Check it all out, foalingwarehouse.com.
It's November, everybody.
Get everybody joining us this morning. Jeff, it's been a interesting start to this football season. It's probably 4 or 5 weeks too late that we've even invited our beautiful guest on this morning. John, good morning. How are you? How's the family? How are the kids? How's everything going for you, buddy?
What's up, John?
Man, it's amazing. Good morning. I love the opportunity to talk about the Detroit Lions. Little frustrated, little angry, but, it's a football team that we got to look at and explore regarding what the heck's been going on. A 1-6 football start is terrible. Nobody expected this.
Yeah, you know what? Let's just get straight there. Aubrey Pleasant let go yesterday, and Again, I get it. You have to be PC. You get handed a sheet from PR team saying this is probably the best thing to say. Aubrey Pleasant, respect him, love him as a guy, da-da-da-da-da. Walk me through Dan Campbell yesterday, outside of really the dodging he gave on really why, because this fake accountability, I'm not a fan of, where every week it's my responsibility, yet it doesn't change week to week. And I just keep coming out and telling you, John, that it's my responsibility. We need to get better. Where are we going with this, and how did it come to a decision that Aubrey Pleasant was let go when I could make the case maybe for a few others?
Yeah, guys, let's take a step back. Remember, we were sold that the culture has been changed. What does that mean? Well, I would assume that the defensive backs could line up properly, that can look at the football and realize, oh, shoot, I should step back and not line up offsides. After the loss, I thought Dan Campbell gave a telling comment where he said the game plan was to be more physical against the talented Miami wide receivers and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. You can't let them run free, or what's going to happen? They're going to get into the teeth of your defense and they're going to cause havoc. Well, he comes out and says that he was frustrated that the defensive backs did not execute that. So I asked him, I said, how is that possible? How is it that an instruction is given and you're able to see that it's not happening and then it doesn't change throughout the course of the game? So I believe that there's been underlying issues with Aubrey Pleasant, the defensive backs. Amani Arawarye has taken a significant step back. So you look at this culture and you realize this coaching staff is tasked with getting these guys to execute and play at a higher level. And the defense as a whole has been tragic, and especially the defensive backs collectively. It just was a complete mess, and it was evident by what we saw, where key third downs, not only are you seeing these receivers open, you're seeing them so wide open, you and I could catch the ball. And they were going up against Tua, who, yes, is a great quarterback and is emerging, but I felt like, Dan Campbell and the coaching staff felt the defense and the defensive backs especially could have performed at a high level. So I felt like, the coaching staff needed to make a change, at least to get a different voice, trying to help improve the cornerbacks and the safeties.
John, so you're the one who asked him, because I love the question, by the way, about not making those adjustments in the game, right? Because he seemed pretty choked up when you asked him that. I think you caught him off guard with that one.
Well, here's the thing. When you come out and say, we have a game plan, and I also asked Aaron Glenn last week, what's the game plan? Because it was evident. The game plan, it was evident for Miami that Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle are going to be a big factor. And Aaron Glenn told me that the game plan was going to be physical, jam the receivers, do not allow them to run free and disrupt the timing a little bit so that they're not running open. So that was obviously instructed to these corners. How does that not happen is a direct indictment of the poor coaching that's going on. And that's where I say I personally don't care if the players like Dan Campbell, if they are fond of him, if they want to have a beer with him. I personally care, do they follow instructions? Do they respect Dan Campbell? And right now, you got to take a serious look. When you're given a certain game plan and you don't follow it, what's going on here?
Right, and obviously the bigger picture, too. Like, this team, besides one half against Washington and really Minnesota down the stretch, they have yet to play a complete game, whether it's offensively, defensively. And if you just look at the last 3 games, they've been outscored 48-0, John. So kind of speak on that. Like, the lack of adjustments, and not just defensively but offensively as well. Ben Johnson certainly deserves some of that blame, but how much of the blame is really on Dan Campbell at this point? I mean, we can start pointing the finger, but at the end of the day, you got to look at the CEO.
Yeah, look, he's under fire. He's obviously, nobody's enjoying hearing him say we're close, because 4 victories at this point in his tenure is unacceptable. But again, an indictment. How do you not put together consistently at least 2 quality halves of football? Look, I do believe that the look on offense was greatly improved in that first half. You had an opportunity to move the football. You were playing with aggression. So now you get into halftime, and obviously the Dolphins are going to make some adjustments. What is your counter move? That's a direct indictment of this coaching staff, that there's no clear, significant ability to adapt well enough in games. Miami makes some adjustments, And what happens after Miami has their first offensive scoring drive of the second half? The Lions come out, and it's 3 consecutive penalties, shooting themselves in the foot. Dan Campbell told us that he's looking to reduce the mental errors by half. By half! That is ridiculous.
It's a lot.
This football team is committing that many mental mistakes, missed assignments. So that indicates to me, guys, I'm very happy you pay attention to these media sessions. How is it that was the performance in the second half when you've come out and said that the last 2 weeks your practices have been more physical, they've been more crisp, everybody's paying attention? What do they pay attention to? You're not selling to this fan base that what you're doing is resonating with the players when they come out and they perform so poorly, make that many mistakes. And again, that photograph that we've seen now online with Amani Arawarie just looking at the football and not being able to recognize that he is lined up incorrectly is so damning and so unfortunate with this football team. It embodies what's going on. There is a lack of crispness that indicates to me that this is a well-coached team.
That's, I think, my biggest concern because, again, John, you've been around way too long. You can buy into, quote, a rebuild, right, when you see the expected progress moving forward. For all the crap you give a lot of the coaches in town, with Campbell, the expectation wasn't 10 wins, 11 wins, contend for the division, win a playoff game. It wasn't anywhere near that. It was the floor for most fans, I would say, was 6, 5 for a conservative few, and then where I was at was 7. Jeff would agree. 7 and 10 seemed like good progress. The schedule was put in a way enough where you could have a good start and kind of even out throughout the rest of the season. And now you see them struggling to win football games. They're 1-6. A 5-game losing streak, 3 consecutive halves being shut out. I don't see how I'm supposed to buy into the coach outside of being told that the culture is changing, everybody is happy to play for him. These are the only reasons I get on why I should buy into him as a head football coach, and he knows this more than anybody. He is responsible for the product out there. He is responsible for his assistant coaches, for his coordinators. You don't see many teams letting go of assistants and coordinators mid-season unless it's really bad, and it typically doesn't happen with the good coaches, John.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, guys, stop worrying about if these football players like Dan Campbell. You have to see them execute. You have to see them perform and get better. What bothers me is we're not seeing the trend of Dan Campbell really improving in regards to game management. You can still debate and explore and say, look, despite all of the issues and mental errors, that game against Miami, you have a 4th and 2, okay? What has this football team been built on? The best offensive line. You have Jamal Williams. You have DeAndre Swift. What do I see up there in the press box? I see a drop-back pass with Jared Goff having this offense struggle the entire second half. It makes no sense logically. Yeah, I understand that on 4th down and 2, there have been issues running the football. But give this team an opportunity. Put this team in a position to win. Run the damn football. And if they can't execute, you then can point the finger at that offensive line. If you can't get 2 yards late in the game, that's your fault. Why am I seeing Jared Goff, who cannot throw a deep ball effectively, throw the ball to Josh Reynolds, who obviously was struggling that game, dropping a touchdown? So it doesn't lend to me any confidence that this coaching staff is putting these talented players in position. Now, is this a 5-win football team? No. But I would expect with a different coach, this football team would be 500. This football team would be 3-3 at this point if they had a reasonable, experienced head coach, experienced offensive coordinator, experienced defensive coordinator. This is all patchwork. A young roster combined with inexperienced coaches, this lends to a disastrous NFL football record.
And obviously, the one thing Sheila did like that was asked, which was kind of confusing too, is comparing this situation to other situations. And I want to ask you, John, your opinion on it, because you have the Falcons already with 4 wins, the Bears with 3 wins, and then you have the Jets with 5 wins, the Giants with 6 wins. The list goes on. Seahawks, top of their division. You could go on and on. What are your thoughts on that? Well, we're not going to look at other situations. We're only focused on this, and it's a complete rebuild. What are your thoughts on that, looking at what Arthur Smith's doing and so on and so forth?
Yeah, first off, I just thought, it's great to hear from ownership, but in this situation, based on what we're tending to hear from ownership, they should have just penned a statement, threw it on the Lions website, and called it a day. Because if you're going to use the word patience with this fan base, I'm not patient. I've been watching this for 35 years, covering it for 10 years, writing about it for 6 years. I'm not patient to sit there and tolerate what's going on when I get to watch, when there's a bye week, other good football teams and see what they're doing. I was a proponent of the Lions hiring Robert Saleh, but good for him, avoiding the toxicity of whatever's going on at Allen Park. He goes out to the Jets and he brings a discernible talent. I can coach defense. The defense performs at a high level and they win football games. When I look across the league and I say, okay, what's going on with other football teams? Well, you realize they don't have as many mental mistakes. They can execute late in the games. Quarterbacks don't tend to, when they play well, turn the football over at that high of a rate. So it's disappointing that, again, we were told that Sheila would be different. It's not different. Brad and Dan sat down with her and said, Sheila, this is going to take 3 to 4 years, and we're going to tear it all down. And Sheila's like, great, we're going to win. Who has confidence in Detroit that this rebuild is going to end up being successful?
John,
No,
who is afforded in the
word-
NFL 3 to 4 years?
Nobody is afforded that. Nobody is sold that. So when Sheila hears that, sits there, writes down, she goes, okay, I can buy that. No, the word should be, we need to win. We need to win consistently. We need to play better football. Tell this fan base the truth. You're going to tell this fan base to be patient with what's going on. Okay, you can ask to be patient, but 4 wins in 2 years, when the rest of the National Football League moves on, this league is built to rebuild faster. And when you draft injured players, when you don't make moves in free agency, you've signaled to everybody that 2022 is a year to kind of just erase and wash. Well, you can't do that. We're living in the present. And this football team is going to incur a lot of losses, and you have a bunch of pissed off people. You got everybody looking down and frustrated at this football team. Let's move this forward and expect that when the Lions are in close games, to execute at the level they need to. I'm telling you guys, Dan Campbell is responsible for 2 of these losses in regards to 4th down decisions, what is going on the field. This football team, I know everybody's like, I'm a fan of the team, and then they go and decide to rag on the roster. You have high draft picks. You have talent on this roster. They should be winning football games. They should not be 1-5. If you sit there going to rag on the roster, then shame on you. It's a decent enough roster to compete if the coaching staff would move it forward and put them in a better position to win.
I think that's what kills not only myself, most people. I can't speak for everybody, but the fact that you're 0-11-1 on the road, you're 2-10-1 in possession games. Excuse me. You're 4-19-1 overall. David Culley, who has coached 17 games in the NFL, and that was all last year, won as many games as your current head coach is in, 26 games now? 24 games, actually. 24 games. 7 this year, 17 last year. Robert Saleh already this year has more wins than your coach has in his first 2 years. You look at rookie coaches, Brian Dable. You look at Arthur Smith, who was 11-14. Or 10-14. No, 11-14. As the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, who were in a worse situation when he took over. Yet they're top of their division right now. John, I am a big proponent of being patient, not complacent, but patient. But to use that word so loosely, when your football team started off 0-7 last year, 1-6 this year, making the same mental mistakes, the coach costing you a few games like he did last year, I don't get it, John. I wish I had the answers. I don't. All I know is it's not working, and I don't think firing a defensive backs coach will change much.
Yeah, no, it's you have to start somewhere. I think that this problem, when Dan Campbell addressed it, said that it's been going on for several weeks. You do have to give Aubrey Pleasant credit for what Jeff Okudah has done, but collectively, the entire defense hasn't been performing at the highest level. Now, for me, I truly believe Dan Campbell is a solid NFL coach who has the potential to turn this around. The unfortunate nature is the Lions chose a football coach with not a lot of experience, who is learning on the job, who has been afforded that opportunity. Look, Dan Campbell resonates with the players. He has an opportunity to turn this around, but it has to happen quickly. You can't go into Buffalo with one win. You are seriously starting to approach that line where we got to talk about replacing Dan Campbell. Other football coaches have been replaced far sooner than Dan Campbell, so he's got to turn it around. You have to produce and show progress. That's the biggest issue that I think everybody's concerned about, is it's more of the same. The progress has not been there in this football team. You can't even, at the starting point, get this football team to play offense and defense consistently together in the same game. That's damning for a football coach.
Fair enough. Well, John, can't thank you enough. Well done, buddy. We appreciate you as always. Got to get you back on sooner. Hopefully not wait 4, 5, 6 weeks like we did this time. I apologize.
Thank you, John.
Feel better. Go Lions.
You're the man.
Anytime, guys. I look forward to it. Go Lions,
Take care.
guys.
Take care. That was John Maakaron. Check out
Bringing
all
the
of his
facts.
work.
Bringing
all of
the
his
facts.
work over at the
Great guy.
Detroit Lions SI. Fish, shut the hell up.
Now that I know he asked Dan that
Thank
question,
you.
I love him even more. 'Cause
Thanks, Adam.
He's who
Appreciate
tripped
you.
Dan up.
I got you, buddy. I got you. Well,
Hey, are
look,
you watching Champions League big games today? Like
Nah.
big.
no, I have a job. I have to work.
Okay, it's called take 2 hours to multitask.
Oh, he's used to multitasking.
2 screens. You have a cellular device. Pop your earbuds in. Maybe listen to it instead of watch it. Listen to it.
Let me tell you about where I got my haircut over the weekend. That was at Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Their awesome stylists will take care of you like they take care of me. I looked like a grizzly bear on Friday. Woke up Saturday morning feeling like a new man, and here I am. Lady Jane's, like I said, 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime, no appointment necessary. It's wicked awesome.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
Whether you are a player or a fan, helping you buy, invest, or sell is Michael Phillips' top priority. Being in the game for over 23 years makes Michael the #1 option for anybody. If you have real estate needs, call 313-403-0011. That's 313-403-0011.
Hey, it's already November. Can you believe
up,
it?
Fish.
Oh, okay, cool.
November 1st, Fish.
Thanksgiving's right around the corner.
Christmas trees are going up.
Christmas is right around the corner. Yeah, you're gonna start hearing
Fish, when
Christmas
do you put up
music
your
today.
Christmas tree typically?
Around Thanksgiving time.
Thanksgiving time?
Yeah.
We're thinking of doing it a little early this year.
It's
Okay.
already up.
Yeah,
Oh, for you guys?
Yeah.
I was gonna say most people. Well, not most people.
Yeah,
Some
we're
people put it
thinking-
up like
We're
today.
thinking this Friday we're going to put up our Christmas tree.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
just start decorating outside.
Yeah, I don't mind
That's
that.
very
Nobody
fair.
cares about Thanksgiving. It's just an excuse to get fat for a day.
I mean,
If we're
people
all
care.
honest, and we set aside our feelings, Thanksgiving is just an excuse to eat like a fat tard,
And then
right?
watch the Lions lose.
and spend time with your family.
I
And
think
then,
you got to
yes,
put it
watch
in the poll, Gentry. I don't know if
What
that's
is the
true or
purpose
not.
of Thanksgiving outside of eating like a pig?
It's giving thanks. I mean, it's in
Giving
the
thanks
name.
to who? Genocide? Thanks.
Oh my God.
Here we go.
It's good food, though.
Giving
Way
thanks
too
to
early for this, buddy.
people. Well, I'm just saying.
Way too early. Shut up.
I didn't tell you to make Hitler references.
I didn't make a Hitler reference.
Well, okay, genocide references.
That's not a Hitler reference.
Well,
I just said no such
I
thing.
know.
No, he's not. He's not Kyrie Irving.
It's kind of in there.
He's not anti-Semitic. Yeah, no.
Too soon for that one, buddy. Too soon for that one. Oh God. All right. You know what? I want to wrap up Aubrey Pleasant, and I kind of want to move away from him for the rest of the show. I don't want to talk about it anymore. But your decision to get rid of a defensive backs coach, we just spoke with John. Again, you guys have the number, 313-552-6322. You're all more than welcome to call in and share your thoughts on the decision. Does it change something in the interim? Maybe. Maybe, just maybe. Maybe there was an extensive gap or hole in communication between Campbell, Glenn, and Pleasant, and the message wasn't getting from the top all the way down. Whatever it may be. And then it wasn't getting to the players. I find it difficult to get on board with a product that, again, I'm told to be patient with. When you have in-season moves like this, that, the defense is suddenly going to completely turn it around? It's not like, this is not the Anthony Lynn situation like it was last year. Anthony Lynn, you could identify and say, dude, that sucks.
Yeah, he was holding them back.
And people are having that conversation about Glenn now. Now, do I think you need to get rid of Glenn right now? No, I don't. I'm actually not in favor of firing anybody right now. But it needs to get better because it's awful. It's a pathetic product. And you have no business being 1-6. You just don't. What's Arthur Smith's excuse? Please, someone explain it to me. A coach who took over a 4-12 football team.
Who traded their best players.
Who won 7 games last year somehow, some way. And has already won 4 this year. With Marcus Mariota as his quarterback. With no offensive line. With no running back. Drake London is his only wide receiver. And then, yes, you have Kyle Pitts, who has just emerged as of last week. Decided to show up this year. And they're still 4-4. And even when all odds were favored against them, and DJ Moore caught that touchdown pass, somehow, some way, the ball finds its way outside of the upright. And it goes to overtime. And somehow, some way, the Panthers miss another field goal in overtime. And somehow, some way, it's the Falcons that walk out on top. Boy, what a story I would love to tell my kids about the Lions having a win like that. This team, whether it does all the good things, the bad things, they just lose. It's their DNA under this head coach. There is no grit. There is no winning. And look, I'm not a player in the locker room. I don't know how diluted that message is getting. I just understand that you can't lose as much as he's losing. And again, top of the hour, we're going to have an uncomfortable conversation. So for any of you that are not willing to listen and try to hear another person's perspective, I suggest you leave the Woodward Sports Chat in the next 15 minutes and be back around 9:15 when Anthony Broome comes on. Having said that, Jeff, any closing remarks on Aubrey Pleasant?
Well, I just found a tweet tweeted out by Jeff Risdon, and it kind of explains a lot of what we've already been talking about. He tweeted, the constant communication breakdowns reflected poorly on Pleasant, whose best asset as a coach was as a teacher. They weren't learning in that area, and he paid for it with his job. That's my takeaway anyway. So, again, it kind of just confirms what we've already been talking about. It's clearly a change had to be made. Whether you think it should have been or not, you're 1-6. It doesn't really matter going forward. The personnel is still the personnel. But if this is going to help, at least help the secondary, maybe help the message get across better when it's somebody else, delivering it, then so be it. But in my opinion, although you do need more information, clearly we're not in the building, I still do believe Aubrey Pleasant, in a way, was a little bit of a scapegoat. There's a lot bigger problems, I think, than just Aubrey Pleasant. But again, you can't deny the secondary has been atrocious. So he had to pay the price for that. But again, he was looked at as a teacher, and in my opinion, Jeff Okudah, first year back and really a year off of football, he's not playing too bad. I know you talked about it in past coverage, but still hasn't played in a year. But overall, yeah, this secondary, this defense is abysmal. It's historically bad, and somebody had to fall on the sword, and it really is Aubrey Pleasant at this point. I don't really have any thoughts on it. I have to see this team moving forward. I don't think it changes. I don't think all of a sudden the secondary or the defense is going to get better. I don't think it's going to happen like that. And Dan even said that at the press conference. It doesn't change Jeff Okudah and how much better he's getting game to game. It's still going to be that way. So, again, this is the decision they made. I still think it's bigger than just Aubrey Pleasant, and I think a lot of people would agree with me there. But if the message isn't getting across, the message isn't getting across. So it is what it is at this point.
Fair enough. Coming up in just a bit, we'll get to Cade Cunningham. My goodness, Detroit. I'll give you some backstory leading up to this, okay? I'm 28. I've never witnessed the Detroit Pistons having a superstar on their roster. I was not here for Isaiah Thomas. I was not around. I got to hear the stories from my dad, and that's about it. And then you get the highlights, the documentaries, 30 for 30s, yada, yada, yada. Bad Boy Pistons, all great, cool. We had the Going to Work Pistons as a young generation, but no stars, superstars didn't exist.
Maybe Grant Hill.
The Pistons never had, but no in theory, right? You never had your Dwayne Wade, your LeBron James, your franchise player, your Luka Doncic in today's NBA, your Giannis,
right?
Your Steph Curry. You never had that in Detroit. And the conversation we're going to have right now is whether or not the Pistons do have their hands on a future superstar who's currently averaging 23, 6, and 7. That and so much more coming up in just a bit. But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at Cintron.
Well, guys, Cintron is the official energy drink of the Detroit Red Wings. And Cintron has combined all 3 of their delicious flavors into a limited edition 6-pack sampler box. You could try Cintron's great-tasting cranberry, classic, or sugar-free, all in one pack. Pre-order your Cintron 6-pack sampler box today at CintronWorld.com/Red Wings. Get energized with Cintron.
Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper. Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media. Woodward Sports is giving you another chance to sit front row, this time at the Detroit versus Green Bay game. Think you have the best Dan Campbell impression?
Woodward Sports, let's go.
Can you say man with the best of them?
I got it. Here's what I need, man. I need you to trust me. I swear to God, I'm not a lunatic. I swear to you.
Can you say, let's go for it on 4th down?
Man, I got a plan, I swear to you. All I think about is you guys. That's all I think about, man.
Are you a master motivator?
That's all I think about is you guys.
Show us in a video. Record your best Dan Campbell impression and post the video on Twitter or Instagram using hashtag Woodward Front Row. We'll select the best 3 impersonations of Motor City Dan Campbell and send you and a guest front row. So knock the dust off the old sweatpants, light some kneecaps, and enter today. And as always, go Lions, man.
I just need you to trust me. That's all. Please.
I don't care if I got 1 toe, 2 butt cheeks, and a rock.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper. Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Losing weight today by calling Dr. Jason and Custom Health Centers at 844-789-THIN. Join Kyle and so many satisfied customers in losing weight healthy and most importantly safely. It's one of the most important things when it comes to weight loss is being able to lose the weight in a healthy and safe manner. The folks at Custom Health Centers allow that, so give them a call at 844-789-THIN. That's 844-789-THIN. Anthony Broome coming up, 9:15, top of the hour. If you're not a fan of minority talk, coaching minority talks, Dan Campbell, Lions, you should probably tune out at 9 o'clock, just giving you guys an FYI. Thank you to everybody joining us over at woodwardsports.com this morning. Beautiful Tuesday morning, November 1st. We're already in November. Holy hell. Time flies.
Mm-hmm.
I remember week 1 of the NFL season like it was yesterday.
I know.
First day of weekday action.
I remember the Super Bowl.
Super excited.
Early this year. And now we're already about to hit into 2023.
Arizona Super Bowl.
Here we are.
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. Cade Cunningham. Jeff, I'll let you start.
Yeah.
Because you were the gentleman that came out before the season and said 22-6-6. That was your expectation for Cade Cunningham. The last 4 games, he's damn near averaging 30, 10, and 10.
Yeah.
And for the season, 23-6-7. Floor's yours, buddy.
He's been incredible. And that was the biggest thing. And it's funny how preseason and the first game or two, people are freaking out over Twitter and saying Cade, criticizing Cade for not looking like himself. And really the people who pay attention to Cade and understand Cade's game was not worried. Like myself, I was not concerned. And then who would have thought? Last 3 games, like you said, he's having a phenomenal last couple games. And I haven't seen at least a superstar like this since Grant Hill. And I'll tell you why. Grant Hill made the All-Star team his first 4 years. And statistically, very similar. Rookie year, he gave you 25-6. Following year, 27-10. Almost 10 rebounds. Like, if you can have the first 4 years like Grant Hill did, you got a pretty damn good player. And Cade's actually trending upwards already. And with Cade so far, the thing I love most is early in the season, Cade's game, it's so cerebral. He's the type of guy, obviously, we like to compare him to LeBron. Not saying he is LeBron, but the way he approaches the game. You're going to get your teammates involved, and then I'm going to get mine later in the game. But I love how Cade's inserted himself much earlier, almost realizing, like, hey, I'm not going to wait up for anybody. I'm going to take over. I was at the Friday game against the Hawks. I believe he had like 27 at the half. And then I went Sunday against the Warriors. He had 30 at the half. Like, it was just this continue. And then you saw last night, a great half again.
I think it was 19 or
19 at the
17
half.
or 19 at the
so
half yesterday.
This is a consistent thing with Cade lately, which I love. Being aggressive early, not settling for threes. You saw through the first 2-3 games him kind of settling, taking 6-7 threes a game. The last 3 games, I believe he's only taken three threes per game, around that number. So I love that he's being more aggressive. He's getting to his spots, and he's not waiting for anybody. And that's what you want out of Cade Cunningham. He's so talented and so smart as a basketball player that he understands, again, strength and weaknesses. I mean, you saw him against Brook Lopez last night, taking advantage, because the Bucks are a team he's very familiar with now, and now in his second year, he's just learning how to approach different players offensively, like how to attack Brook Lopez, what to do against Giannis, stuff like that. So Cade's just learning and getting better and better and better. So that's something you can appreciate. And Cade this year, although I picked 22-6-6, and those are certainly all-star numbers, I don't think he'll make the all-star team because of the team's success. But if they're winning more games, Cade, you can make a case he can be an all-star this year. I mean, there's no question about it. And it's funny because Jaden Ivey's playing pretty well alongside him. Shout out to all those people that thought they couldn't play together. It's crazy how that was actually, I mean, Cade can play with anybody. You see how unselfish he is.
It's one of the funniest things.
It's ironic, too. But it's special. It really is. To have a guy like Cade right now playing for your team, you have not seen this. And again, you won a championship in 2004, but there wasn't really true superstars. There was a lot of stars. It was complementary. It was a team effort. And then before then, it was Grant Hill. And before that, Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. So this is a new era of Pistons basketball, and it's an exciting time because you have a young core that is in the process of learning how to compete, learning how to win. And that's the biggest thing for me personally, and it's a joy to watch because this team's growing by the game. And you saw it the first couple games, terrible defensively, and then against the Warriors, they sneak out with a win. I know they weren't great defensively, but Dwayne Casey said it was their best game so far that they've had defensively in terms of communicating. And they're getting there. And then you go on the road to an undefeated Bucks team, and you compete to the last seconds. You had a chance to win that game. So, again, you're seeing a team in front of our very eyes learn how to compete, learn how to win. This is something the Memphis Grizzlies had to do early on with that young core too, with John Morant. There was a time where they were getting blown out. They were bad defensively. But throughout the season, you kind of saw the tide kind of change. And that's what I'm expecting this team to do as well. I still have them around 30 wins, but it doesn't mean you can't be excited. It doesn't mean you can't look forward to the players, individually growing, which is something that I've been excited to see. I mean, Duren's out currently, which is not a good thing. But, again, once you get Bagley, once you get Duren back, once you get Burks here, this team is going to get even more exciting. And I think they can give a lot of teams a run for their money. And it starts with Cade Cunningham. So he's a very special player. It's funny because it seems like the better teams he plays, the better he plays, which is actually really impressive. I mean, last year you saw, I will never forget, in Brooklyn facing the Nets, and he had an absolute monster game. And that was against Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So again, Cade's special, man, and it seems like the bigger the moment, he just turns it up a notch.
He's excuse me. He's been excellent this year. Excellent. And I was told after the first few games, sophomore slump, can't play with Jaden Ivey. Oh, no. Cade Cunningham, the fact that you have potentially a superstar caliber player, and let's define that. You have a guy that is putting up potentially in the next year or two 25-6-7, 25-6-6, 25-7-7. That is the type of player Cade Cunningham can be. Boy, it's nice to have a star player. Boy, it's maybe nice to pair him with another young, up-and-coming star player. Jaden Ivey? Oh, did I forget that they're 20 and 19 years old?
Mm-hmm. And you got a ton of cap room this offseason?
Whoops.
A little less now that you signed Bojan.
By the way, extending Bogdanovich, such an underrated move.
Oh, yeah.
Loved it.
Absolutely.
Just identifying how valuable he is this early and saying, you know what? Extend him. We need another year.
And that was the choice plan all along, apparently. That's supposed
and you need
what's
players
been
like that. And you know what? Cade and Ivy need to play with players like that. It can't just be a young team. You know, we forget the Al Horfords. We forget the Robert Williams. We forget Grant Williams. Some of these hard-nosed guys. I know Marcus Smart is young as well, but Marcus Smart's, you need some of these guys that just do, I don't want to say the dirty work, but
that might be the right
are
term.
Involved in a different capacity.
Right.
Than maybe your star players like a Jalen Brown or a Jason Tatum, right?
Right.
Out in Boston. So I love the dynamic that is being built. I don't think it's there yet to where it can compete. But I think you make a very good point. When Bagley returns, Burks returns, I mean, they become a little more experienced, and these rotations, I think, become more effective. Having said that, what do I do with Corey Joseph? I keep bringing him up. Should I just leave it alone?
Well, he actually didn't play last night, and he didn't play against the Warriors. Well, he played 5 minutes, and they actually, shout out to Corey Joseph, they actually looked better.
I know. That's where I'm going here.
Looked better without Corey.
I'm not trying to be mean, and look,
Yeah.
I know he didn't do anything yesterday because he didn't play, but still. What is the end goal here? How many guards can you have on this team? I already have Livers. I already have Killian. On top of Ivy and Cade as my starters. And then sometimes I'm rotating Sadiq at the 2, depending on who I'm putting out there. Casey, again, it's these rotations that it's early in the season. You're not losing your mind over it. But where does it translate? And you know what? Killian Hayes, I mean, you talk about somebody who
still kind of struggling.
Needs to find his game offensively, Jeff. Again, he can dish the ball. He can dribble. He can penetrate. He can go in transition. He can rebound. He can play good perimeter defense. I can say a lot of good things about Killian. Can't score the ball at all.
Right. And you got to be able to score. I mean, at least at an NBA level. And I want to talk about another thing, too, with this team. And I don't want to say, because it's not just me that thought this way. A lot of people I talk to, especially with Woodward Pistons, we've had this conversation. But something I've been hammering the table for, and this was before the Bojan trade, is if you want Cade and Jaden Ivey to flourish, you need shooters. And it's not, you can't just have Sadiq Bey as your only shooter. Now you have Livers back playing healthy. You have Bogdanovich, and they're both thriving. So, again, it just confirms what we've all thought. And the more spacing you have with this team, the better these guys are going to be able to thrive, and the better they're going to be able to play, because it just gives them so much space. I mean, look at Bojan. Really, I mean, it's crazy to think, too, on this current team, he's one of the best players, and you're getting him for a 2-year, whatever, $40 million deal. I know the second year of the deal is partially guaranteed. You could still trade him. Not saying they will, but it's still on the table. But he just brings much needed spacing to this current team, and it's great to see, man. And I love how Dwayne's been able to kind of stagger Sadiq Bey and Bojan's minutes and kind of get Sadiq Bey playing with the second unit. I think it's done well for him as well. But overall, I'm excited because currently it's crazy to think about because we talk about Cade and Jaden Ivey playing together. You're only 8 games in. Like, this isn't even a final product of what they can be. Ivy, down the stretch last night against the Bucks, there was a couple decisions that, you wish he would have had back, not getting his teammates involved. But what I love about Ivy is the accountability he has in the press conference after the game, taking accountability and being like, you know what? I should have passed the ball. I should have got my teammates more involved. And that's the self-awareness I love with Jaden Ivey. And moving forward, there's still plenty of room to grow for the Pistons as a team, those two as backcourt mates. But the positives you could take away over the last 2 games is they're able to play together. So, or at least they're looking good playing together. And again, this is everything you wanted and more. There's going to be nights where, like New York early in the season, where you get absolutely destroyed and they don't look competitive. But there's going to be, hopefully, more nights like against the Bucks or the Warriors.
Fair enough. Fish?
Yes, sir.
Before we get to top of the hour,
okay,
what are you doing today?
What am I doing? Well, I'm gonna watch champ. I was gonna talk Pistons a little bit. They have a kind of tough road ahead. I mean, they got the Bucks, the Bucks tomorrow. Cavaliers, they're looking pretty good at the moment, and they got the Thunder, who they're not terrible, but they also have Boston Celtics been looking good. Let's talk Red Wings though, because the Red Wings kind of got murdered yesterday to the Buffalo Sabres, and people brought it up because they were wondering how the goaltending situation would go after the Red Wings kind of messed up over the past couple games, and they're not looking too hot. They're not out of it. I'm not going to pull a Detroit fan say, Cade sucks, he sucks. But I don't know. The Red Wings are better off than the Pistons. I did see something yesterday. I think Barstool posted. They posted all the 124 major sports teams yesterday.
Yeah, I did see that.
None of the Detroit teams got out of the top 100. I thought that was a little harsh.
And they had the Pistons like 10 spots above the Red Wings, which I don't really agree with. But again, I guess if you look at the Pistons, how entertaining it is. Entertainment value maybe, but the Red Wings are definitely closer.
Yeah, I think Red Wings should be 1.
Right.
Maybe you put Pistons 2, Tigers 3, Lions 4.
Well, put the Tigers last.
Well, look, Fish.
Well,
appreciate you, buddy.
They're both tied at the bottom.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. When we get back, top of the hour. For all of you who can't listen and hear out a different person's perspective, excuse me, the next 15 minutes probably aren't for you.
Are you going to make it, though?
Oh, yeah, I'll be fine.
Okay, all right.
I'll be fine. I'll be more than fine. So, coming up in just a bit, minority coaches in the NFL, more notably in Detroit. We'll have that conversation in a little bit. I have a question, a simple question for all of you, coming up at 9 o'clock. If you can honestly answer it, I think we're going to make a lot of progress, and we'll go from there. And then maybe it doesn't need to drag on for too long. Who knows? But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at Guardian Alarm.
Well, guys, we talk about the defense and how the Lions can't defend anybody, and the Pistons are slowly starting to defend players. But look at Guardian Alarm. They're always playing defense. And since winter's here, you're going to be spending more time inside, and you want your home protected. So call 1-800-STAY-OUT today, and you can rest easy knowing you have 24/7 protection. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Let them know your friends at Woodward Sports sent you.
You got to leave.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you want to know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
All right, if you want to win front row tickets, that's right, a pair of front row tickets to the Detroit versus Green Bay game, all you got to do, is submit your best Dan Campbell impersonation video to Twitter, TikTok, or Instagram using hashtag Woodward Front Row. We'll be giving away 3 pairs. That's right, 3 pairs of front row tickets. So make sure you're following Woodward Sports.
Not one,
submit
not
your video,
2,
and
3.
use hashtag Woodward Front Row. Man. Oh, my God.
Can I touch on the Lions real quick?
No.
Oh, okay, cool.
I want to do something first, and then we can do that, Fish. All right?
Okay.
What I want to do is I want to have an open conversation with all of you.
Oh, boy.
About the track record of head coaches in the NFL. Okay? Can we all agree Freddie Kitchens should never get another head coaching job?
And he won't.
Yeah.
Can we all agree?
Yeah, we can agree there.
Okay. Can we all agree Rod Marinelli should probably never get another head coaching job?
He also will not.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do we all agree that Jim Schwartz was a much better defensive coordinator than he was a head coach and shouldn't get another head coaching job?
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
Okay.
He probably
All
won't.
right, cool. We got the white people out of the way.
Oh, boy. Good luck, Adam.
Hugh Jackson. Does Hugh Jackson deserve to have an NFL head coaching job? Because I don't think so.
No, he does
No,
not.
he won't.
Oh, okay, cool. So we're on the same page there. David Culley. Anybody know David Culley?
Yes, sir.
He lasted all but 1 season in Houston for winning more games than Dan Campbell did in Detroit.
Right. And I feel like that was just a setup to fail for him. So
Sure. But where I'm going with this is, if Dan Campbell was a minority head coach, this is my question this morning, and you guys can all call in. We'll pin the phone number at the top of the Woodward Sports chat, 313-552-6322. Just answer my question. If Dan Campbell was a minority coach, would he still be in the job 7 games in?
Can I tell you
with
why?
a 4-19-1 record. And the only answer I will not accept, because I do believe for the most part it is not only true, it's the unfortunate reality, which is it's the Lions.
That's what I was going to say.
I'm not willing to entertain that because that is not the situation across the league for most cases.
I'm looking up top. I think with the Fords and Sheila, I think he'd still be here no matter what his race is, just because they're so inept and they're so
they're very patient,
Right.
which again is odd.
Patient and stubborn.
Because in the NFL, there is no such thing as patience. Somehow it's here in Detroit.
Yeah. Always.
Maybe that's why you're never successful, because of all the patience. But regardless.
But I do think that, minority coaches don't always get a fair shot, like Brian Flores, for example.
I'm talking losing minority coaches. I'm talking about the bad ones. I'm not talking about the good ones.
Right.
I'm talking about coaches with a losing record who are minority coaches. Do they last 24 games in the NFL? Not in Detroit. Around the NFL.
No.
The NFL, no.
No.
But at the Lions,
they
yes.
Interesting.
The Lions would be the most patient with anybody, so I think anybody would
very
last.
interesting
Also, he cold called Sheila Ford Hemp, or Sheila Hemp. So if anyone cold calls a owner,
and look,
and they
by the
hire
way,
you-
just so you guys are aware of
Thanks
where
for
I
cutting me off,
stand
really
on
appreciate
minority
that.
coaches in the NFL, I do think there have only been 4, maybe 5 in NFL history that even have a winning record. Okay, let's start there. So it's not like there's this pool of minority coaches that are having uber success and are just being pushed away from the league. In a league where everybody, all they care about is winning. That's where I stand. I don't care if Byron Leftwich is my head coach, Kellen Moore, and I can only speak for myself. I don't care who my head coaches win, and I'm going to fire you if you can't win.
Right.
And in a league, which again, doesn't have the best track record with minority coaches, somehow, some way, Dan Campbell's in a job 7 games in to his second season after starting 1-7, or excuse me, 1-6. Hugh Jackson, in my opinion, got 2-3 years too many. He should have been gone after the first year. But hey, I find it odd that we accept losing, and we as a community accept losing for what it is. Is there someone behind me?
No.
What am I missing?
No, you're good. Keep going.
I don't know. He was looking at me. I thought something was happening.
All right.
Just me and Mike. I'm trying to just read his mind. No, you're good. Keep going. Keep going.
Where I'm going with this is I want you all to understand something. You can't tell me with a straight face there isn't a problem. When Dan Campbell is allowed to be 4-19-1 and keep a job, and the owner comes out and, oh, we're going to be patient and we like the product we're building, and don't bring up the GM to me. Don't bring up the GM. We're talking about head coaches in the NFL. Does Hugh Jackson, forget Hugh. Hugh's a bad example. Let's throw him out. Steve Wilkins, current head coach interim head coach, I should say, for the Carolina Panthers. David Culley last season. What is it? Is there a minority coach around the NFL, forget Detroit, that can last 2 seasons, winning on average 3 games? I don't forget minorities. I don't know many coaches. Black, white, Hispanic, I don't care what your race is. I don't know many head coaches that last having that type of record. But in Detroit, somehow, some way, it makes sense. It's not adding up to me. It's not adding up to me. So you guys tell me. Am I off? Maybe I am.
Maybe put a poll. Drop a poll in the chat.
What I'm struggling with right now, what I'm telling you is, around the league and its history, coaches in general, let's forget race a little bit for 1 second. I'll bring it back up. In a league in general, where the patience and the tolerance for losing is minimal. I see what you're talking about, Jeff. In a league where the patience and tolerance for losing is slim to none, yet there is an organization that somehow, some way continues to sell you on being patient and tolerating losing and accepting losing on a weekly basis. How does that make sense? Now, again, I can only speak from my perspective. If I was a GM or if I was an owner of an NFL football team, I don't care if you're Brian Flores. I don't care if you're Sean McVay. I don't care if you're Byron Leftwich. I don't care if you're Hugh Jackson. Win me football games. If you can't, goodbye.
Right.
My way of thinking. Maybe most of you don't share that. I don't know. But again, where is the tolerance? In a league, right, that already has a position of it struggles with minority hires, correct?
Correct.
I believe this offseason only Mike McDaniel qualified as a minority hire, and Robert Saleh.
Yep.
Well, that was last year, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we draw the line here? Lovie Smith? Lovie Smith has no business being an NFL head coach anymore. He's well past it.
Right. I thought Byron Leftwich would have got a job last offseason, but it didn't trend that way. Doug
5
Peterson.
coaches I'm calling today. If I'm a GM or an owner and I'm looking for a head coach, I'm calling Leftwich. I'm calling Kafka.
Frazier from the
No,
Bills?
I'm not calling Leslie Frazier. It's played out with him. Unless I have a team ready now and I'm looking for a defensive-minded guy, maybe, but I wouldn't personally consider him. Kellen Moore, Ben Johnson, maybe. There are a handful of guys. I wouldn't even consider Bieniemy if I'm honest. I'd probably go consider the kid out in, where is he? He's in Minnesota. The defensive coordinator, formerly with the Giants. I forget his name. That would be my list. I can only speak for myself. But again, I'm not telling you there's a minority issue in the NFL. I'm just trying to point out things that don't make sense to me. That's all. And that's why I posed the question. And if you don't mind, throw it in the chat. If Dan Campbell was a minority coach, does he last a 4-19-1 start? Just in general, not with the Lions.
Right. And that answer is no in general.
How many head coaches can survive that start to their career? Not many. And that's where I get confused a little bit. Because now, again, with this organization, it's be patient. But they would never survive it. And more often than not, the ones that do have either A, track record, or B, quote, young and promising coordinators. Point A, Zach Taylor. Point B, Kyle Shanahan. 6-10 his first year, 3 wins his second year. Nobody gave up on him. They knew what he was capable of. Boom, Super Bowl. Boom, NFC Championship a few years later. See where I'm getting at?
Yep.
Now, if Dan Campbell was the hot, up-and-coming offensive coordinator from a Super Bowl caliber team,
you'd have a little more leeway.
For the past 3 years, I would be sitting here and shutting the hell up. But the fact that he cold called you and sold you on the job, and now is underperforming even small expectations for the year, which was 7 wins. Does he survive if he's a minority coach? I would think not league-wide. Does Dan Campbell survive league-wide? I think in most cases, no. But in Detroit, he does. And that, is, to me, is frustrating and confusing. Polls in the chat. You guys can all vote. Let's go to some comments. Byron Leftwich was offered the head coaching spot in Jacksonville, but turned it down because he didn't want to work with the GM. Danny, 100% correct on that.
Yeah.
He did not want to work with
Wanted
Trent
his
Baalke.
own GM.
And again, as someone who doesn't know what it's like to be a coordinator or a prospect for an NFL head coaching job, I find it very difficult to have demands for your first NFL coaching gig. See where I'm going at? If Kyle Shanahan left today, he left the Niners, how many teams would just hand over the farm, not only to have him, but say, hey, you can choose who your GM is going to be? I know a lot of teams that would do it. More than half the league would do it. See where I'm getting at? Some people earn the right to pick who they get to work with. Byron Leftwich has no excuse. I wasn't offered it. No. He declined it. That is a good example.
Right, and they already had a GM.
But again,
in place.
I'm talking about losing coaches. Losing coaches. If Dan Campbell was a minority coach right now in the NFL, forget the Lions. If he was a minority coach and his record was 4-19-1, 0-11-1 on the road, 3 consecutive weeks of being shut out in the second half, a losing record, a losing football team, the same old stuff in the press conference week after week after week after loss after loss after loss, would he still have a job? And I'm inclined to answer, no, he wouldn't. No, he would not have a job.
I love this comment, by the way. Shout out to Chuck. Much love to Chuck. In WoodwardSports.com, he says, Adham, as a minority, why would you go to a losing place knowing you probably only get one shot? Which is something I think...
Is he referring to Byron Leftwich?
I think maybe just in general, which is, I think, a very valid point to minority coaches.
You don't get to pick where you go in the NFL.
But let's say
Robert Saleh went to a losing situation. Brian Dable went to a losing situation. Arthur Smith went to a losing situation. Sean McVay took over a team that had 10 straight losing seasons. Kyle Shanahan, the same thing with the Niners. You don't get to walk in and everything is set up for you to succeed. You have to walk in, overhaul it, coach up the players, implement your philosophy, and win. It's not easy. It's why there's only a handful of coaches who are excellent. You do not get afforded that opportunity in the NFL. You are not afforded an opportunity in the NFL to just sit there and coast and wait for everything to come together. That is not how it works. So, although, yes, appreciate the comment, Chuck, no, I disagree completely. I don't care if you're black, you're white, Hispanic, whatever you are. Your job as the head coach of a football team is to turn it around and win football games. Period. End of discussion. And if Dan Campbell was coaching any other team in the league, would he still have a job? If Dan Campbell was a minority coach coaching another team in the league, would he still have his job? I'm inclined to say no this morning. I'm inclined to say no. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it.
No, I don't either. But considering how Dan Campbell's, just his in-game management, everything, and not even just his in-game management, but the fact that you have 4 wins through 2 seasons with this team, with this offense.
When did he take over? He took over for Tom Sula and Chip Kelly, who were 5-11 and 2-14, and then he showed up. What do you know? Two NFC Championship games later, a Super Bowl later. Unreal. Funny to me.
Danny Bennett, shout out to Danny Bennett, WoodwardSports.com. He says Byron Leftwich is about to lose his job as OC down here in Tampa. Bruce Arians is now, quote, helping call the offense. Tough time over there in Tampa.
What about Bill O'Brien? Bill O'Brien is an uber successful head coach, by the way. Multiple division titles, playoff wins. And his again, why was he fired? Results at the end of the day. The decision to trade DeAndre Hopkins. He lost the team. But that was a team that was winning divisions, getting to the playoffs. Don't put Bill O'Brien in this conversation. His issue was the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Well, yeah, they let him be a
day.
GM, which was it just does not work anymore.
Again. You guys can like it or not, makes you uncomfortable or not. Again, tell me I'm wrong. Please, tell me I'm wrong. 53% of you believe that Dan Campbell would not have been fired if he was a minority. That's fine, you can disagree. But explain to me. I find it difficult to believe that around the league in the NFL, if you are 4-19-1 as a head coach, let alone a minority head coach, you're 2-10-1 in one possession games, you're 0-11-1 on the road. You've started 0-7 and then 1-6 your first 2 years. I find it very difficult.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
To say that they would be for sure that they would be employed. They should keep their job. Whether it's Dan Campbell coaching this team, Hugh Jackson, Jim Schwartz, Jim Caldwell, Sean McVay, I don't care who it is. Results right now unacceptable. I don't care what your excuses are. It's a joke. When we get back, Anthony Broome will join us, talk some Michigan State. Really, I would say a controversy, an unfortunate controversy.
Yeah.
So we'll get to Anthony in just a bit. But before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at Big Boy.
Well, guys, for a limited time only, all new burgers and loaded fries are at Big Boy. And it's not just the Slim Jim, it's the Big Jim, the chili cheeseburger, as well as the bacon blue. But how about upgrading those fries? Chili cheese fries, baked potato fries, nacho fries. Satisfy those taste buds at Big Boy.
Fellas, let's be honest. We like things to be easy. We like simple stuff, like sports 7 days a week. We like things uncomplicated, like Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play. And before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome. Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Let me tell you about our friends at Chili Peppers Tanning, because, guys, it's where you'll find all the cleanest salons in the D with spotless, sanitized rooms and trained and certified tanning professionals. Join the Pepper Club for all the best deals. They'll beat all competitors by $5. Don't forget to pick up the Australian Gold, Designer Skin, Cal Tan, and Swedish Beauty lotions. ChiliPeppersTanning.com, hottest bulbs, hottest deals, darkest tans. Your Vitamin D headquarters, 27 locations, and more on the way.
Chili Peppers Tan?
Tell them, Fish.
All right, 9/18, November 1st, Tuesday morning.
Yes, Maction! Weekday Maction!
Live over at WoodwardSports.com. Thank you to everybody joining us in the chat this morning. We are joined by Anthony Broome from TheWolverine.com. Anthony, welcome back. Missed having you on last week. What a weekend. We'll start there. How was your weekend? How was the game? It must be nice to be 8-0 now, but walk me through the game and then, of course, what transpired after, unfortunately.
Well, the game was boring. Not a lot to talk about. I think in a lot of ways, I won't say what was expected. I mean, Michigan has to score touchdowns, but it was domination up front on both sides of the ball. It was, I think, fairly decisive for the most part. And then, I mean, the stuff after the game is, I mean, there's no other way to put it than, deplorable. The video's out there. I refrain from some takes on what happened until we do have a full police investigative report out there, but it's all there on video for people to see. I know there might be some gaps in video from what happens from the time the two Michigan players leave the field to when cameras roll in the tunnel, but the fact of the matter is, and I tweeted this out on Sunday, is that anyone that puts hands on anyone else, it's unacceptable. It was unacceptable Saturday night. It was unacceptable when Juwan Howard did it to Greg Gard last spring. It was unacceptable even Saturday night again when a fan, rubs his hands on Mel Tucker's head. There have been consequences for it, and I suspect, with ESPN releasing a clear video of that tunnel cam on Monday afternoon, there will be more repercussions that come from this. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, I'm not going to get on the air like some people have and irresponsibly justify it one way or another. Like, what you saw on video is what happened, and to tie it in with the rivalry, devolving this way. I think we're not doing that. The actions of those guys Saturday speak for themselves and are on video. Like, I think very little to do. It has very little to do with what fans have said on Twitter, what players said on the field during the game. It sucks. It sucks because if you're Michigan, Saturday night was supposed to be a celebratory moment, and then one of your starting cornerbacks gets a concussion, and a dude swings his helmet at him like he's Myles Garrett, and another guy gets his face bashed in like Chris Draper in '96. So that's the story, and that's unfortunate.
I think that's the frustrating part is, one, it's pathetic. Two, you can't justify it either way, so we're not going to have that conversation. But this idea that, the rivalry has just gotten out of hand, I don't buy into it. I don't, because this is not an indictment on the Michigan State program, because if it was, this would be happening more often. It would be happening week in, week out, or occasionally every season. This isn't something you've seen in 3 years under Tucker. This isn't something you've seen under Harbaugh. So I'm not going to go in that direction. The direction I want to go with you this morning is, we all know it was unacceptable. I think we're all willing and ready to move on, at least for the most part. Whether there are charges and it plays out the way it does, that's not in my hand. I really have no comment there. But are we losing respect in a game where our core values at a young age are taught to respect your opponent? In the NHL, at the end of a 7-game grueling series, you still skate across the rink and you shake everybody's hand. And I don't care what words were exchanged, there's never a reason to let your emotions overwhelm you and control your actions. Now, I don't care if you're a young adult, a young man, an older gentleman, it doesn't matter. Where's the respect in a beautiful rivalry that Michigan State have really dominated the last 15 years, and they've had Bunyan for the last 2, and now you see the transfer over to Michigan. It's their season, they dominate, they win the game, 1, 2, 3, and then we have to have this dark cloud over what was, yes, a boring game, but a game nonetheless that everybody in Michigan looks forward to.
I have to choose my words carefully here. There is an article I saw this morning from the Detroit Free Press titled "Why We All Might Be to Blame for the Michigan State Rivalry," and I believe that take is disingenuous. I believe it's opportunistic given the moment. Saturday, I went to Ann Arbor early Saturday afternoon, and what I saw was, it was mostly Michigan fans, but Michigan State fans mingling at tailgates, and it was beautiful. A gorgeous fall day, people just out having fun, enjoying life, a celebration of, the last time that Michigan State was in Ann Arbor, it was a COVID game, and people didn't get to experience that. And it is one of the better, the better type of rivalry setups because it's home. You walk out your front door every day and your neighbor's got a Spartan hoodie on, or they've got their coffee mug at work in the break room. Like, this is something we live in every day, and I think for the most part, it's friendly, it's fun, the banter is fun. The fact of the matter is, as it pertains to the two football teams, and this is where both sides are sort of culpable in this. Now, this is separate from just, the assault stuff that happened after the game. Anything that is built on hatred is only going to devolve into more hatred, and that's a societal thing now. We saw it with COVID debates. We've seen it with presidential elections and politics, and They're anything that's built on a hardline stance of we hate you or we hate this. It's only ever going to devolve into something that gets uglier. So, I think it is incumbent upon the leadership of I mean, in this case, obviously Michigan State. I mean, they have the bigger fire to put out in this situation. But I think that both universities and their leadership do need to find ways to turn the temperature down on this. I don't know how that happens. There's no way that this game is taken off the schedule. It's already in the books for next year. Maybe when things recalibrate in 2024 with UCLA and USC coming here, maybe you hit pause for a few years. But the fact of the matter is that you don't change a football game. You don't change a venue for a football game because 4 or 5 guys decided to do something criminal in a game. Like, that's on them. At the end of the day, like, MSU's response to this has been a bit reactionary because it kind of has to be, because it's in the hands of the police and it's a legal matter now. But I don't think this is a referendum on Mel Tucker, but it does challenge him in terms of, can your culture handle what comes next, and can your infrastructure handle what comes next? Michigan State has a lot of problems on the field right now. Michigan does not have as many, but this is what happened Saturday night goes so far beyond football, and it is because it's something that's born out of hatred. There is no respect there. In the Ohio State rivalry, there's a little, there's no love lost there, but there's like a game recognizes game type thing. This is past that. It's evolved past that, and it has been building to that. And I don't blame that for what happened Saturday night, but I think just when we look at the state of the rivalry, it is ugly, and it's unfortunate because it has a chance to be something beautiful for this state, and it's not that right now.
And Anthony, I wanted to ask you too, on a more positive note, for Blake Corum to have a career high in carries and to have the season he's had so far. Obviously, every game he's had at least 1 touchdown, and this is a guy that needs these moments. You still have the game at the end of the year at Ohio State, but I want your opinion on it for Blake Corum. Realistic chances for him to be in that Heisman conversation towards the end of the year. It's kind of a 2-part question because I want to ask you also, with this current offense, with JJ, them relying on Blake Corum, they settle for a lot of field goals, we know that. But moving forward, what's your confidence level going into Ohio State at the end of the year, just for someone who actually covers the team and is watching them game in and game out?
Yeah, I could say that I've seen FPI say it's probably 75-25 in favor of Ohio State. I think Michigan has a better shot than that. I'd probably call it 60-40 right now. I think that Ohio State does have a bit of an edge back that their team didn't have last season, but when they've kind of been challenged physically, things haven't gone well for them all the time. The Iowa and Penn State sort of challenged them in very different ways. Iowa kind of crapped the bed on itself there, but those are probably the 2 most physical games that Ohio State has played this year. And the box score, I don't think always tells the entire story. So, Michigan, when you can, I think we've talked about this before on here, when you can control the line of scrimmage the way they can, you kind of get to set the tempo and set the terms of what a football game is going to look like. So, if their offensive line continues to dominate, they need to score more touchdowns in the red zone. Jake Moody's great. He's the best kicker in college football by a country mile, but you don't have to lean on that guy 5 times in a football game. 4 of those times in the end zone or the red zone. So, the red zone play calling, it was an issue about this time last year too, and this is about the week or the time where we started to see things adjust and change and go from there. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Blake Corum has been a constant for this team in a lot of ways. Saturday was his quote-unquote least impressive game because it was just 33 carries, the quietest 177 yards you'll ever see, but just impactful in every single way. I think that if he, calling a spade, if he has the numbers that could justify him being there, he'll probably wind up being there because, of the block M next to his name.
Right.
And I know that, again, we talk about turning down the heat of the Michigan-MSU rivalry. I know that will rile some people up in East Lansing because they feel that Kenneth Walker should have been there last year. If they keep winning games and his numbers and his impact does that for them, then I think he'll be there. Right now, I mean, to me, it's Hendon Hooker or bust when you look at the Heisman Trophy race. But Blake Corum, I could see him being in that top 4, and I think it would be justified.
Fair enough. Well, Anthony, can't thank you enough for joining us this morning. Appreciate it as always. Everybody in the Woodward Sports Chat, go check out Anthony on Twitter or follow him over at thewolverine.com. Read all of his latest stuff. Great work. Anthony, thank you so much, buddy.
Go, boy.
Appreciate you, Anthony.
Take care. Oh, man. It's 9:30. It's already November. I gotta get into an argument with my wife about whether or not we're putting up this Christmas tree early.
I thought you said you're doing it today. Or this
Friday.
week.
Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Whose
is
idea was it? Was her idea?
My idea, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, it was my
Does she
idea.
not want to do it this early?
So this is our first year living together during the holiday season, right? And my mom always did it after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And I'm kind of just bored at the moment. And I don't like Thanksgiving or Halloween.
Wow.
So I was hoping to skip it all.
Why don't you like Thanksgiving? What's wrong with that?
It's whatever.
Okay. Because the Lions always lose that way?
No, it has nothing to do with them.
Okay.
It's just a personal thing. Preference. I don't know. It's just a cool family gathering for dinner, honestly.
Well, yeah.
That's how I take it now.
It's giving thanks. Giving thanks to loved ones, people you work
absolutely.
with, people you don't work with, people you live with, whatever.
Absolutely. All right. Well, look, let's take a quick pause. When we get back, should the Detroit Lions trade DeAndre Swift? That's the conversation coming up next. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at Swiss.
Swiss Insurance Group and their employees are heavily involved in their community. It is very rewarding, but also comes with great responsibility. If you sit on a local youth sports board, homeowners association, or volunteer coach, directors and officers insurance is a must. Make sure the kids, parents, and volunteers are protected. Call Swiss Insurance today.
Woodward Sports is giving you another chance to sit front row, this time at the Detroit versus Green Bay game. Think you have the best Dan Campbell impression?
Woodward Sports, let's go.
Can you say man with the best of them?
I got it. Here's what I need, man. I need you to trust me. I swear to God, I'm not a lunatic. I swear to you.
Can you say, let's go for it on 4th down?
Man, I got a plan, I swear to you. All I think about is you guys. That's all I think about, man.
Are you a master motivator?
That's all I think about is you guys.
Show us in a video. Record your best Dan Campbell impression and post the video on Twitter or Instagram using hashtag Woodward Front Row. We'll select the best 3 impersonations of Motor City Dan Campbell and send you and a guest front row. So knock the dust off the old sweatpants, light some kneecaps, and enter today. And as always, go Lions, man!
I just need you to trust me. That's all. Please.
I don't care if I got 1 toe, 2 butt cheeks, and a rock.
Life is full of hard choices. We're here to make one of life's biggest decisions as simple as possible. My name is Christina Gennari, and for over 20 years, I've helped hundreds of families buy and sell homes. We cover all of Metro Detroit and more, from large luxury homes to starter homes. We will work hard to make sure that you get the home of your dreams. So if you're in the market today or even thinking about buying or selling in the future, make the obvious choice. Christina Gennari, the obvious choice in real estate. Visit us at soldchristina.com today.
Right. Thank you, Fish. God bless you.
What'd I do wrong now?
You know what you did. It's all good.
Do I?
It's all good.
Okay. Is it though?
Let's throw this
You'll
up in the
probably
Woodward
smack
Sports.
me at the end
Shut
of the
hell
show.
up. Shut the hell up. Let's throw this up in the
Maybe get that 8 iron out
woodwardsports.com
again.
chat. If you don't mind, Michael, should the Detroit Lions trade DeAndre Swift? So, Jeff, I'll ask you the question. Should they trade him? Not healthy against Miami. I don't want to say he was on a snap count, but they just avoided him. If anything, Dan Campbell came out this morning and said that they gave him 1 too many carries, which was interesting, considering I believe he had 5.
He had 5 carries.
So,
should he have played? I mean, I don't.
Should they trade Swift? Yeah. And again, he's not healthy. Had he played the whole season, your record maybe is a little bit different, and maybe his value is much higher than it is now. But do you trade for him? And I would say today, no. Because I don't think I can get anything out of him.
Bingo.
And he's somebody I have under contract who, if by some miracle he's healthy for the second half of the season and he shows progress and he plays at a certain level, maybe I get something better for him in the offseason. So I would answer that and say no, I wouldn't. And that would be my reason why, Jeff.
No, I'm right with you. That's actually the same reason I was going to say. The value right now isn't worth trading him to me. I think Swift, we see how important he is when he's healthy. This offense is night and day. It really is. Although they've looked good without him at times, like against Seattle, for example. They didn't have DeAndre Swift. Jamal Williams filled in just fine, but Jamal doesn't provide the things DeAndre Swift can do. My solution to this would be you keep Swift and you draft a running back this year. I'm not saying you draft him early, but you got to take a running back. And if you do allow Swift to walk or you trade him next year, that's different. But let's say he walks, you get that compensatory pick. I know it's for the following draft, but to me it's pointless to trade an asset that's not healthy, that just coming off, being banged up, not playing well. It's pointless to trade him now. If you're going to trade him, you're going to trade him when he's playing really well. You can get the most out of him in terms of a trade value. Right now it's just to say trade him, a lot of that to me just comes from frustration. I get it. He hasn't been healthy, at least for a full season, last 2 years. Playing the running back position, it's one of the hardest to do, to be able to stay healthy through an entire season at his size too. But we know how dynamic he is. And I think if you wait to trade him, you're going to get more for him, because teams right now are looking at what you have in DeAndre, and it's a guy who can't stay healthy and is coming off back-to-back not really impressive performances. And even when he's been here, the best case for me would be to let Swift finish out the season. Let's say he plays really well to follow the season. He plays really well to end the season. Then you trade him in the offseason if you want, or you keep him. To me, Swift is so important to this offense. I probably would not trade him, or I would much rather just get a running back to help him. I don't think Swift's a guy, and we can all agree on this, you can give 20, 25 carries to. He's not built like that. But if you bring in somebody else, or let's say you extend Jamal Williams, I'd be more in favor of drafting running back, but whatever. Let's say you extend Jamal Williams. I still think that Swift brings value to this team. And I think if he plays better, you can get more for him. So I'm with you, Adam. I don't think you trade him right now. I think his value is at an all-time low as of right now. So
there is no value to him. He has more value on this team than he does to any other team, because they have question marks. And you would be lucky to get maybe a 6th-round pick, I believe, in the open market right now for DeAndre Swift. Now, could that improve to a 3rd? Potentially in the future? I think that's very aggressive and very optimistic.
Because what could you get for him right now?
I think nothing. If I'm a GM and I'm the Eagles, if I'm the Buffalo Bills,
you're getting a late pick.
I would toss you a 7th, maybe a 6th, 2 6th, maybe. Maybe I would give you that, and I would take a chance. And if he gets healthy, great. If he doesn't, oh well. That's not worth it for Detroit.
No, it's not.
And you want to talk about the deadline coming up? Who knows what the moves are? Who knows? But the reality is, DeAndre Swift has been... the reality is, it's been a disappointment. 2nd-round pick who continues to struggle to stay healthy. He's now in his 3rd season. Next season will be his last season before his contract expires. So that's where my mentality is. I believe you can get the most value for him. Maybe a 4th, maybe a 4th-round pick in the offseason if he finishes out and is healthy the rest of the year. Let's go to the Woodward Sports Chat. Funky says, Adam, do you think the reason Swift played against Miami was to see if he could do something so they could move him?
No.
I don't think so. I wouldn't want to showcase him the way they did. I know he caught that touchdown pass, but boy, he didn't look right. He just didn't look right. He was always falling to the ground prior to contact. It was tough to watch. I don't think anybody wants an injury-prone quarterback, and Rob J literally just said it. Who wants an injury-prone running back for anything more than a 5th-round pick?
And to me, a 5th, trading Swift for a 5th is just idiotic. I would not do that.
It can't be idiotic, though, because what can you get for him, right? So I agree.
With a chance for him to play
given
better.
His potential and value,
right.
But potential is just potential, right? He's never available. He's always hurt. And that's a tough conversation you need to have. Taylor Decker having 2 false starts yesterday in the second half, Sunday, unacceptable. The offensive line that was your core foundation, what your identity was, slowly but surely you have moved away from. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. When we get back, let's talk some Pistons. Let's wrap up with Cade, the season, what to expect the rest of the way. Bagley, Burks returning hopefully soon. Good stuff to talk about, and then we will get to Mailbag at 9:50, so buckle up. We'll be right back, but before we go, I got to tell you about Planet Fitness, home of the judgment-free zone, where you can work out in a non-intimidating, judgment-free atmosphere. Start today for $0 down, $10 a month. Your fitness is essential. Sign up today at planetfitness.com or visit them in store.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
When you need apparel, there's only one place to go. Big Frog in Novi. With no setup fees, no artwork fees, no minimum, and a 24-hour turnaround, you can have your whole team outfitted in no time. Embroidery, direct-to-garment, vinyl, and screen printing, Big Frog has it all in all the styles you want. So whether it's a sports team, fundraiser, school event, or corporate needs, Big Frog is your one-stop destination. Visit bigfrog.com/Novi or call 844-4-BIG-FROG.
Friends at Alta, because guys, at Alta, uptime matters. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. If you have a big project coming up, well, Alta Rent has you covered. Call them today, 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA today. And we're back here on the Morning Woodward Show on the Woodward Sports Network. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're tuning in on woodwardsports.com, go check out the articles, check out the merchandise. They got it all on the website. We got to get into the Detroit Pistons and what fans should expect for the rest of the season. And I'll tell you my expectations, and you guys can comment in the chat, warsports.com, share your expectations. Because for me, it does not change. This team is going to win around 30 games. I still believe that. And I kind of hinted at it earlier in the show, how there's going to be moments where they lose games they probably should not lose. But there's also going to be times where they beat teams they probably should not beat. And that's kind of the positive. I mean, you look at the Pistons right now, they're 2-6. Both of their wins are at home. That's not a coincidence. Like this, again, going back to this is a very young team. You compete. This is what I love, too. You compete against the Bucks, undefeated Bucks, on the road. They have the Bucks Wednesday as well. Tomorrow on the road. We'll see if that can continue. But just looking at the next 4 games, you have Milwaukee, Cleveland, Oklahoma City, and Boston. Like, this team could be 2-10. That's just a reality. And I love the stat. I tweeted this out about a week ago. The Memphis Grizzlies, that 2019-2020 season, they started 2-7. They gave up as many points as the Pistons, early in the season. That was 2 games ago, but they were right around just as bad defensively. There's still a lot of work to do, but they were able to turn it around late in the season, and that chemistry was starting to click. Defensively, they got better. Offensively, they got better, and they still were around a 30-win team. That's what I expect for the Pistons. I expect improvement from a team standpoint, from an individual standpoint, from Cade, Jaden, Sadiq, and so on and so forth, but also from a coaching perspective with Dwayne Casey. And that's something that I've loved to see the last 2 games, and something that I thought was ridiculous to start the season, that nobody was giving Dwayne the chance to at least make adjustments. And I thought his rotations the last 2 games have been better. The lineups have been better. You've learned how to stagger Jade and Ivy and Cade Cunningham. You've learned how to manage Sadiq Bey and Bojan Bogdanovic. There's kind of that figuring out process. So a lot of optimism moving forward, but it's not always based on wins and losses. That's the thing. Like, they could lose to Milwaukee on Wednesday, and there could still be things we take out of it that are great things, and certainly some bad things. So moving forward, the narrative of this entire season, to me, is compete. Compete, compete, compete. And the winning will be a byproduct of that. If you can stay in a lot of these games, especially on the road, for a young team, that's great. Moving forward, once they learn how to win from competing, and they can learn how to win on the road, this offseason, you can make moves. And then in the following season, now you can start talking play-in. That's the steps that teams like a Memphis takes, or like you could bring up other teams. You take those steps. It doesn't just happen overnight. There's going to be a long, process of ugliness, some great things you see, and then certainly some frustrating things you see. So moving forward, that's my expectation. I expect them to be competitive. I expect them to be clawing every game they play, and certainly some games it could get ugly. But I'm not going to sit here and say this is a play-in team. I mean, obviously, whoever said that before the season is quickly backpedaling as we speak, rightfully so. But moving forward, as long as you see players getting better and the team staying in these games, I'm okay with it.
Idiots on my Twitter after they won the first game sure thought so. 45 wins, 55 wins.
Right, because a lot of it too, Fish, is kind of a evaluation period. This is Troy's time to see and look at this team and say, who's moving forward? Is Killian Hayes, does he have a future with this team? That's going to be answered at the end of the season. Is Sadiq Bey an integral part of this team? Like these questions are going to be answered at the end of the season, and that's really what I'm excited for. It's that figuring out process.
I want to bring up something that was brought up yesterday on Big D Energy Show from 11 to 1 on the Woodward Sports Networks. Terry Foster, legendary Terry Foster, everyone loves him, at least they should. He brought up yesterday that the Warriors-Pistons game meant absolutely nothing. What do you think? Because the Warriors was the last game of a road trip. It was a getaway day.
Well, I certainly
Clay
don't want to.
Didn't play. You were there at the game live. Clay didn't play.
I certainly don't want to diminish.
What do you?
I don't want to diminish. I thought they had a great game plan going in. I mean, this is a team with the Warriors who are 29th in the NBA in block shots. They attacked the basket. They got to the free throw line. I really thought they had an excellent game plan. I get what you're saying and I get what Terry's saying, but from my point of view, being there, a win's a win. And you beat the defending champs. I mean, call it a small victory.
I think it means something.
It does certainly mean something. Now, does it change the expectations for the season?
No.
No. But it's certainly something you could take home.
And I'm shocked I didn't see that on the Twitter Sunday.
No, me too. But also on top of that, it gives these young guys confidence moving forward. Like, you just beat the champs. That's a great thing moving forward for these guys. So yeah, I certainly think it means something.
Even if it's a A- squad instead of an A+ squad, it still means something.
Right. And Clay hasn't been playing that good either. So it's not like Clay's going to walk in, drop 40 on us. It was still a win. Good thing to take away.
Fair enough. Here's where I'm at. I don't think it's beneficial for this team to lose 50-plus games. I don't. But they're not good enough to win 50-plus either, right?
Right.
That's the reality. Unless Cade and Ivy just become one of the better 1-2 combinations in the NBA by January, this is looking like anywhere from as low as 25 wins to as, maybe if you're lucky, as high as 31. Is that fair, Jeff?
Yeah, that's fair.
Do I think they're this bad as their record would say they are? I don't. But again, you got to find ways to close out games. They're only 2-6. It's not the end of the world. They play Milwaukee tomorrow, and then they visit Cleveland, or excuse me, they host Cleveland. And again, the East is no joke this year. I think we forget that too. The East is no joke. Top to bottom, there are some damn good teams. Even Washington is a pain in the ass to play against. So you look at the schedule, you just look at the next 5 games. Milwaukee, Cleveland, Oklahoma, Boston, New York. And then Boston again. And then Toronto. And then the Clippers. And even on the road to the Lakers. And then the Kings. And then the Nuggets. It doesn't get easier, man.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't get any easier. So again, I think, yes, you just have to look at player progression and understand that it's not a talented enough team, and you're trying to identify who's part of the future core. But I don't think they are 20 wins, 21 wins bad. I don't see it. I don't see a 61-loss team. But they got to clean it up defensively. I think that's a big part of it.
And a lot of it, too, is, and this is why it's so hard to project this team, is because there's so many, obviously it's filled with young players. And a lot of it is just projecting where these players are going to go. Like for Cade, I mean, I expected him to have that jump this season. A lot of people did. But for like Sadiq Bey, Bojan now a new addition, Jaden Ivey, you didn't know how he'd look at his rookie year. It's hard to really project where this team's going to go. You need more of a sample size. I would say probably 20, 25 games to really know where this team's going. But certainly to start, I like the progress they've made. I think from how they started, they lost, 5 straight. And then you bounce back, you win against Golden State, and then you compete to the very last minutes against the Bucks on the road, the undefeated Bucks. You're trending in the right direction. Now, can they sustain this? We'll see. I think there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but overall, Adam, you're right. It's about player progression, and then just that team chemistry being built, communicating better on defense. And I think they've done that better the last 2 games. So moving forward, that's all it's about, and that's Dwayne Casey's job. If you see these guys staying in these games, players are getting better, that's all you're evaluating Dwayne Casey on. We all can acknowledge Dwayne isn't going to be here in 5 years. Like that's clear. He's the second oldest coach in the NBA. His time's coming to an end very shortly. But His job is to get these players to the next level, and so far, I've liked what I've seen out of these players. So I can't really complain about Dwayne. If you want to nitpick rotations, that's fine, but no one said Dwayne will be here when this team's competing for championships. I think he's playing an integral role right now developing these guys, and I think right now he's doing exactly what he's asked to do. So
fair enough.
Can't hate on Dwayne Casey.
Well, let's take a break. When we get back, mailbag time. Get your questions in over at the woodwardsports.com chat. Jeff and I will answer them coming out of the break, but before we go, Jeff, our good friends over at Big Frog.
Well, guys, you can get a free Woodward Sports t-shirt. That's right, a free Woodward Sports t-shirt all month long at Big Frog and Novi. Stop in, tell them we sent you, and they will print one out for you on the spot. So go to Big Frog and Novi today, get your free t-shirt, or visit them online at bigfrog.com/Novi.
For a limited time only, all new burgers and loaded fries at Big Boy. It's not a Slim Jim, it's the Big Jim. The chili cheese is such a tease. Guess what else is new? The bacon blue. How about upgrading those fries? Chili cheese fries, baked potato fries, nacho fries. What will it be? Satisfy those taste buds at Big Boy.
My name is Lee. I've lost 35 pounds on the Custom Health Center program. So the 3 biggest benefits that I've gotten from this program has been I'm not snoring anymore, I have a lot of energy, it's great, and oh, by the way, look at this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
All right, if you want to win 3 pairs of front row tickets, we're announcing 3 winners. 3 winners, so you may be one of the lucky 3 winners that win a pair of front row tickets for the Detroit versus Green Bay game. All you got to do is record yourself sucking at your job for a week, maybe.
I mean, I do that every
give
day.
your best Dan Campbell impersonation. Both are the same thing anyway. So, man, submit your video on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok, and use hashtag Woodward Front Row. Make sure you're following Woodward Sports on all social media platforms, and we'll announce the winner this upcoming week, actually, this week.
Friday,
November 4th, on Friday. Yep. So that should be fun.
Hey, do you want me to do a Dan Campbell impersonation or impression?
Absolutely.
Whatever?
I'd love to see it.
I will do it tomorrow.
Do it right now.
Now?
Yeah, right now.
Okay.
You're at the podium. You're at the podium after a loss.
Dan, you're now 1-6. We keep hearing this team is close. When will close turn into results?
We gotta be big. Man, I just think we did play good football. You know, we gotta make sure we don't fumble the ball and really control ourselves. And all you gotta do, man, is just play good football. You know, I love these guys, man. These guys, I care about them. I care about them for my grit. And we just didn't play good football, and that's part of the problem. You can't fumble the ball. You can't turn over the ball. It's gotta play good football. You know, we didn't do our game plan against the Miami Dolphins, and that's the problem. We didn't play our game, and that was hard, man. Hard.
Dan, why are your arms flaring up like that? Are they stuck in place? What's going on over there?
It's the grit, man.
Oh,
it's the grit. You gotta make sure you punch them up, bite their kneecaps, and that's all you gotta do. You gotta make sure you win. It's pretty simple. You know, you get 1 win, then you turn it to 2, then you turn it to 3. All of a sudden, you got a good football team. You just gotta take 1 game at a time, 1 play at a time. You don't know what memorable moment's gonna come out of it.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Fish might have just won the contest.
No, I was doing the arms because he's big.
I agree with the
And
chat. That
he
was awful.
hunches over and pulls his shoulders
That
up.
was awful. All right, mailbag time.
You wanted it, dingbat.
I know. Well,
Call
you
him a
did an awful
dingbat?
job. You did an
Dang.
awful job, just like Dan.
Fish dropping
so
the
maybe that
dingbat.
means you did a good job. Who knows? Having said that,
Jack
to
Harrington, mailbag. Jeff, picks for Tennessee versus Georgia game on Saturday.
That's going to be a great game.
Oh.
Might be game
Going to be
of
a
the year.
fantastic game. This is,
Yeah.
I think, if Hendon Hooker, if you beat Georgia, I mean, just give him the Heisman.
I think Tennessee win.
Just hand him that. Just hand him the Heisman.
I didn't like what I saw out of Georgia against Florida.
Put it in his.
I saw
put it in his
vulnerability. I saw a team that could be turnover prone if pressured. They ran away late, yes, and covered, but Florida made a comeback in that game. I like Tennessee to keep it close. I would say Tennessee are underdogs, so I'll at least take them to cover. but I like the upset.
Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta address this. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Don't even bother.
No. I love it. I gotta do it. It's entertaining to me. WoodwardSports.com, Patty Grimes. How come Casey gets a free pass for losing and not Campbell when it's easier in the NBA to turn it around? It's easier in the NBA to turn it around?
Not really.
I think you're the only person who thinks that. Actually, it's
NBA
longer
in the NBA
to
is a
turn it
harder
around.
game.
It takes
football.
years. It takes 4 years for players to
Look
hit
at
their
the
prime.
76ers. Trust the process.
The NFL is literally set up. The NFL is literally set up for you to turn it around
still
quicker.
trying to trust
This is why
the
Dan
process.
Campbell is on the hot seat.
20 years
And also, it's an 82-game season.
It is.
What are we doing? I love you, Patty.
Remember,
but
it's a marathon,
I
not
couldn't
a
disagree
sprint.
with you anymore. Quite frankly.
All right. Question is, will the United States win their group in the World Cup, Fish?
Oh.
So we need to talk about that because there's a slight chance Iran might not be in the World Cup.
Which I find stupid, but continue.
Yeah, well, I don't know who they're going to put in. I mean, I guess you put in who they play Wales. Oh, no, Wales already made it. You put in Ukraine, since Ukraine played Wales in the playoff game, which would technically make our group easier if you put Ukraine in. Not that Ukraine and Iran are any different.
What about
this? I mean, potentially. England is going to be, they're iffy. Sometimes they win, sometimes they choke and break their ankles.
What about
Wales is and Iran is decent.
What
Unlike
about
Dan Campbell, they're all winnable. Go for it, Jeff.
I love you, Fish. What about Jesse asking, Mailbag, am I crazy to think the Bears could have gotten a first rounder for Roquan Smith? I think the Ravens are a dark horse in the AFC side. I'm actually when those trade rumors were really going around, I thought it would be initially just a first to start for Roquan for the impact he has. I'm a little surprised, but at the same time, you got to pay him. So I get it, but I also don't. Are you shocked by that? Him not getting a first round for Roquan?
No, tough to give up a first-round pick for a 1-year rental.
And that's ultimately what was probably the deciding factor.
So second
talent-wise, he's a first-round pick.
Second is more than fair. Yes, talent-wise, he is a first-round pick.
But you're right. They got to pay him. So.
All right.
Let's see.
I like the second part of his question, though. I think the Ravens are a dark horse in the AFC. I would agree, Jesse. I would agree.
By the way, 19 days to the World Cup. It's coming thick and fast.
19 days.
All right. Let's see what other questions we have in the chat. How many lined up in the neutral zone penalties before somebody does remind the players where they're allowed to stand? Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I thought that was a given.
He was featured
But I
on
guess the
Command Man
Lions'
yesterday.
ultimate game plan is to line up in the opponent's backfield and avoid being caught. That might be new. That might be the new strategy. Who knows?
What about Danny's question? Mailbag, definitely want to hear from Adham on this. Would you rather have Dan Campbell as your head coach or Todd Bowles, who has done way less with more than MCDC?
Wow. That's a good question.
It'd be great if Adham heard it.
Yeah,
No, I heard it. I would rather have my mother coaching this team over Dan
classic
Campbell, so that doesn't mean much to me.
So, okay. All right.
Does your mother know the game of football?
No, but she can do a
okay.
better job than Dan without knowing the game of football.
Okay.
Clearly, he doesn't know it. All right. If Campbell beats Buffalo, would that restore the faith in him? No. There's not one singular win. It is providing a product that consistently goes out and can win football games. If they were 3-4, or God forbid, overachieved and were 4-3, nobody's talking about the head coach being a scrub. Aubrey Pleasant is still in the job.
Talk about him as a savior.
And Sheila Ford Hamp doesn't come out midweek and speak on the team. That's the reality. Ryan Lentz in the chat. Thanks for showing up late to work, buddy.
Wow, way to call him out.
I'm joking. He texted me. He's good. Jeff, is there any player in the NBA that you would like to make a move for before the deadline?
Oh. There's a few of them out there.
Depends who's available. I'm curious to see how Troy approaches the trade deadline, whether there is a big fish available, or if you can go get a guy like we talked about earlier in the chat, Matisse Thybulle. If you can help this team defensively, I'm all for it. Still need perimeter shooting. But we'll see. I mean, guys are going to be available closer to the trade deadline, and that's when I'll have the conversation, because right now it's early. Teams like what they have.
No.
Wait a couple months, and then you'll start seeing those guys pop up.
Isn't that the NBA, though? No one plays defense?
Shut up, Fish.
I mean, you need some defense, but...
Shut up, Fish. We're out of here.
No, I get that.
You
but
all
no
have a
one
great
plays
rest of your
defense.
day.
Thanks
Thank you for tuning
really
into the Morning
appreciate
Woodward
that.
Show over at woodwardsports.com. Appreciate it as always. You all have a good rest of your Tuesday. Big D Energy coming up at 11. Armani and Edwards at 2. And the heavyweights at 5 o'clock. Check them out. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Champions League's going to be exciting. Make sure you slap Adham in the face. Bye.